You are listening to Be Simply. This is Suzanne Toro, aka She. You can anticipate being inspired, discovering some inner and outer wisdom and inspiration. Without further ado, let's dive into Be Simply. Welcome to this segment of Mind You and Food, and this is Suzanne Toro, and I want to thank you for joining us. This segment is brought to you by BeSimply, and if you want to support our programming, there's links below with different goodies that we're aligned with internally and externally. Just look below. So today we are diving into zero waste. Now, for those of you that are really passionate about caring for Mother Earth and the environment, I can today give you a couple clues about how we can clean up our ecosystem. And it's an internal process and an external process. So I'm a little bit of a science geek. Hence, I love working in the kitchen. It's a science as much as it is an intuitive process. And so when we are in an alchemical relationship with all the elements within ourself and the world around us, we begin to realize that our resonance is a reflection of the energy we exchange. And so oftentimes, like I will take a group on Vision Quest or a silent retreat or an adventure, meaning you get a little bit of everything all mixed in. Food culture and satiate your soul and your body with different practices and treatments. And in that journey, I always make sure wherever we're going, every little place, the energy is going to be grounded in the earth's energy, and that it is reflective of what you would feel in nature. And the same holds true when I'm in the kitchen. I only want the resonance of nature, Mother Nature, and the heart in the kitchen. And I hold myself accountable for that. And anyone else that wants to join in the kitchen, that is a must. And the reason for that is because you put that energy into the food. So if you're angry or upset, then I really recommend you leave the kitchen, bring your affect down, or say, hey, why don't we go out, or I'm going to go for a walk, and then reapproach. Because you're going to actually send that disturbance through the food, and it'll go to your guests. And hopefully you don't want to do that, because that's would be considered withdrawal from your cosmic karmic bank account. And so this is the internal process to clean up our ecosystem, and we'll get into zero waste from this process. So when we work on our inner state of being, and that's why I love teaching cooking classes. I love helping male and female learn their way around the kitchen and heal in the kitchen, because ultimately there's vulnerabilities when we're in the process from prep to cleanup. So when we clean up that ecosystem internally, then the resonance changes for Mother Nature. So I've gone on land where there's dark energy that's arrived at that land, where the plants aren't doing well, all of that, and shifted it so the animals come back, all of that. And we saw this during this past 2 years and change, when everyone was away, the animals started to come back out. The ocean appeared, and it's not because we were locked away. It's because the nature had a chance to be in its own resonance, not being impeded by what? Our emotions, our mind, our consciousness that is not as balanced as we would like. So if you are truly activists for the environment, and I talk about this with my astrophysics friends, because there's science and we look at the granular stuff, yet we need to look at consciousness too. So if you really truly love Mother Earth and the universe and the stars and all the unexplainable, clean up your mind, clean up your heart, and that will start to help the resonance all around us. Number two is that what we saw in that period of time is everything regenerated really quickly. And I was rather excited because I'm like, finally, like hopefully the people that don't realize that we don't have a climate crisis, they're watching because everything's replenishing. So this ecosystem is regenerative. You're regenerative, Mother Earth's regenerative. There are all the resources everywhere and they keep replenishing. There's no shortages, absolutely zero. And there's no shortages of energy exchanging on the planet. So the only thing that we can do to improve, one of the only things that will handle this environmental topic, is to start to create less waste, pollution. And when we start to use everything from start to finish or recycle it, then we're in a abundance loop that keeps going and building and creating more and more and more. And guess what? There's more than enough for everyone. So if inspired, I welcome you to start thinking about where in your life that you can create less and less waste. And I personally do not feel that we need external agencies to man us or tell us what we need to do. When we model good behavior, then other people will jump in. And I live in a community where people love to be of service. I've been in other places around the world. You start taking pride in your local town and how you farm, all these things. It's felt just like food that's cooked from love. And it just continues to grow from there. So today I'm putting this recipe. I almost did another one, but I have to test it. I was like, but I was like, you know what? I wanted to feature this recipe today. I mentioned it last week. It's a zero waste recipe. I was inspired by an individual on TikTok. She had cooked a bun with these banana peels. And I think, as I mentioned, I wasn't so sure, but what I found out, there's some interesting properties in this banana peel. And all fruit, like the lemon, the rind, the grapefruit, oranges, all of that stuff can be dried, or you could bite through and eat the skin because there's all these phytochemicals in the outside. And the animals, if you watch them, they eat the whole thing. They don't spit out the rind. And that's why I always tell my guests on retreats and adventures, let's observe nature so you know what plants are safe, what's going on in the ecosystem, what's needed, what are the pathways for the animals, especially if we're in a predatory environment, where are the predators, so you can be mindful of their ecosystem. So with that being said, this recipe was inspired by that. And so what I wanted to share about it was I did have a lot of resistance going into this recipe. I'm like, I don't know, because a banana peel is kind of interesting. Again, if you observe it in nature, it doesn't decompose and isn't so great for your compost. But it actually was really, really yummy. And so with this recipe below, you can add in zucchini if you are too concerned, or do both. Do zucchini and then banana peel and compare. But that's what I would substitute for it if you didn't want. So a lot of fun. You just soak the banana peel, trim it, soak it, make sure that you use organic. And all my recipes, I don't write organic, but banana peel for sure, because how these are produced, which we need to omit this, is to ripen on conventionally grown produce. They'll bag them and put diesel on those banana peels. So you're eating gasoline when you eat non-organic bananas. And we need to shift that. We don't need to ripen our bananas with gasoline. So trim off the banana peel and then you'll score it. And then you want to soak it in water. In a high pH water, 11.5. I have this amazing water machine that I love. I think I might link it below, but because it does like 50 things, I kid you not. And one of the best things is even organic produce will accumulate stuff that you want to pull off, especially tomatoes, your lettuces, kales, all those kinds of things. I have mushrooms in this recipe. I don't recommend you wash those. I recommend you dust them off. So you're going to score those. You're going to blend up the sauce recipe below. And then you're going to let the banana peels and the sauce have a little fun together in the bowl. And while you prep rest of your veggies. And so this is really an easy, and I did this recipe just for myself. You can double it. When I cooked it, I wasn't cooking for anyone else. And I really encourage all those people out there that are single, take the time to cook for yourself in the kitchen. Learn to create the space for you. This will help with your daily habits, your nourishment, your nutrient-rich menus that you can integrate into your daily regime. So once you have everything prepped, you're going to let the banana peels soak in that sauce. You're just going to heat up a medium saute pan, add your onions, your garlic, put your oil in there. You're going to bring them to translucence. And then you're going to add in those banana peels, the mushrooms, and a little bit of that half the thinly sliced kale. If you want to add a couple cherry tomatoes, that's up to you. Have fun with it. Let it cook through. And then from there, once that's done, just turn off the heat, let it sit there. Then you're going to crisp up some thinly sliced new potatoes. A lot of people have air fryers. As I mentioned, I'm a low tech kitchen. So I do everything on the stovetop or the oven. And so you can thinly slice new potatoes, fry them up in a little coconut oil because we had an island vibe going on here. And then once you're there, you can toast up your tortillas that you choose, assemble your tacos, have your chips on the sides, lots of cilantro, lime, and these are absolutely amazing. So I was glad to know that I could eat banana peels, and I think this is great. If need be, you can do that. I'm going to play with it a little bit more because since then there's some additional properties that are really amazing for regeneration. So I'm going to play around with that a little bit more, and I'll get back to you on that. So this is that concept of zero waste. And years ago, I've heard of different places, especially down in Mexico, everything that they're cooking, they make sure they don't have any waste at all. So they use it all. And again, like I said, those skins, all that stuff are available for you and there for a reason. Nature wasn't suggesting we just throw out, the apple core or throw out the skins, just eat through the fruit. And then whatever's not eaten, it does replenish into the earth. So before we go into places here on planet Earth that support zero waste, we're going to go over a few things on the summer season. So in addition to our heart in the summer season, this is a time where we want to nourish our small intestines. And so there's a couple Ayurvedic techniques that are very traditional that you can find. And if you're from India, you might be familiar with these, but you have the opportunity to take fennel. So if any time, in summer we want to cool everything and we want to cool our intestines. So I did make these tacos a little spicy, but you can adjust your spice based on you. And so you can use fennel tea after you've had a meal. In addition, you can take fennel, coriander, and cumin, all seed form, toast them up or slightly heat them in your oven on a low heat, just so they're starting to pop a little bit. Then you let them cool. You can put them in a little tin, and after you eat, just take a half teaspoon and chew it up, and that will help with your digestion. The one amazing thing about fennel, so in springtime is typically when we see that fennel. And then what happens when a plant's done, like your lettuces and stuff, if you let them go that far, they'll start to sprout their seeds. So fennel, when it starts to sprout its seeds, you could harvest those. Again, zero waste. Save those, dry those out. And these can be used. You can also get them at the market. It'll relieve gas, diuretic, relieves colic for your young babies, calms your nervous system, can increase breast milk production. And for anyone that's suffering from phlegm, it'll help thin or clear it completely, especially with people having summertime colds and sinus things going on. In addition, it's very supportive for the menstrual cycle, fennel. So you can just have fennel. You don't have to have a tea bag or buy it in the tea section. Just take it from your spice rack or your garden and put it in a cup and drink on that. And if you do notice, so this is the other thing, if there's toxins in the food, say you go to a restaurant and you suddenly become bloated, that's a sign that there probably was toxicity in your food, even if it was organic or you thought it was. So the fennel will take that down almost immediately. And it's just a blessing on so many levels of cooling. Again, we want to cool in the summer months. So as I was searching, I could not find the places that I heard about down in Mexico yet, but I will. I found some in Mexico City, but there's a couple places in New York. There's a shop called the Westburn, and you can order online. The link's below, and they do everything no waste, zero waste with their products, and find a fun gift item if you want to send something, or if you have a friend in New York and you want to gift them something, you could have it picked up and delivered to them that way. So that's an option, and really beautiful, beautiful products, oils and little snacky stuff, granola crunches. Go online and just see it all. They have a thing called Sun Pop, and it's just well done. So you can enjoy, and like I said, some good, fun, sustainable, zero waste concept. And again, that's westborn.com. And then I found this great restaurant that is actually in Texas, Austin, and it's beautiful. So please just click on, you'll see these beautiful pictures of the fish. It kind of reminds me of the Philippines. It's not a milkfish, but it's like cooked to a level of how their milkfish would be cooked. And so they have everything nose to tail, root to fruit, and desserts. Love the menu and love the idea of not wasting anything. Again, if we reduce our waste, it's just going to make us more abundant across the board. So you might have some fun. And if you're passing through in these regions, you can pay them a visit. In addition, you could do your own search on the internet to see what else comes up. Now, this other restaurant, in Intero Ristorante, I'm going to say. It's an Italian restaurant, farm to table. You have a pastry chef and a native Austin chef. Now, I wonder, he might be in Austin. Anyways, you can double check me on that. But anyways, another beautiful restaurant, farm to table. They encourage slow dining, yet they give you the recommendations. They have happy hours. So if you're curious in your local areas, and we have these here in LA, lots of places are becoming more and more conscientious on how to reduce waste. In addition, your local coffee shops typically have the coffee grounds saved, and these are great for your home gardens. So you can help out your local coffee shops by reducing their waste that they have to remove and apply it into your soil and increase your compost there. So the other aspect for you this week on thinking about when you're eating in summer, as I mentioned, more cool is better, and to listen to your own digestion. So what works for one may not work for another, if that makes sense. So I was speaking to one of my students this week about that. For people that have love ginger, they typically need that spice. They might be, as we would say in Ayurveda, a little bit more earthy. Maybe they're slower to go kind of thing. They like that pep. They like the heat. People that are more pitta tend to have pitta imbalance, they'll have too much heat and they'll want more of those earthy spices to ground them. Historically, what we're doing seasonally is balancing all the elements. So whether you're following Chinese medicine or Ayurveda, or how I do it, I merge all of them, is that you're going to balance the season that we're in. So you're, especially in Ayurveda, I've said this before, people will say, oh, I'm Vata, or I'm Pitta, or I'm Kapha, and that's not how it works. You have all the elements in you, and you might have a constitution that typically gets imbalanced in one of those doshas. And that is true in Chinese medicine. You might get an imbalance more in your liver. You might get an imbalance more in your heart. And again, these are associated with your elements too. So we're in fiery season, heart and small intestines. So simple thinking about this, cool, watery vegetables, simple on the spices, because anything aggravated in these regions, that heat will build. So if you think about it, you're hot already and you don't want it to keep building as you flow into the next season. And I think all of us can potentially relate to having our heat over aggravated. And this can happen with a fever. This can happen if you're in an ecosystem that you're not used to. For example, like hot summers in the desert are a little bit different than tropical heat, or even southern heat that we experience here in North America. So just welcoming you to think about it in that perspective. And then, as I mentioned before, bringing in too much cold, so it's nice to have a little fun snack that's cool, but not too much. So welcoming each and every one of you to just listen into your body. And if you want to have just an evaluation or simple consult, feel free to book one with me, and we'll talk about where you might historically have imbalances and how you can have some great strategies to keep your system in balance. And when you're in balance, then you'll move through life at your rhythm. In addition, you'll feel balanced mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So think about it that way. So the final thing I wanted to talk about here is probiotics and prebiotics. These are great things to have, especially in the summertime. Now, the reason for this is, especially if you live in a tropical, our equator friends that are rocking steady with us, if you're in this region, what will happen is when the summer, if it's your summer and it gets a little bit warmer, you have that variation, or you're in a hot zone, there's more potential for parasites and all these different things. And that's why in certain regions of the world, there's a lot more spices, because that helps clean out those critters that might be in your gut or your stomach or your intestines. So easy things that you can do. And in Vietnam, it's really interesting because you'll even go into Korea. Their foods are plated in a way to always balance the gut biome, which people love to talk about. So two things, a probiotic will help in balancing that. So yogurt, kefir, fermented foods, great to take in daily, depending, or you listen to your own body. But you'll see at a lot of restaurants from the Asian region of the world that they'll have the little fermented foods. And these are the vinegary foods, the carrots, the radishes. All those foods are helping with your digestion. And then you have prebiotics, and these are what you take to help with absorption. So in summer months, this is something we want to do, is think about our prebiotics, because that can help replenish our intestinal tract. And what you'll find is asparagus, bananas, garlic, which is in this recipes, your greens, which is in the recipe I just mentioned, kiwi, oats, which are very cooling, onion, leeks, jicama, which I'm wanting to do something fun with that lately, endives. So those are a couple examples that'll help you with the absorption of your food. This is often an issue. People will eat, but they're not absorbing the nutrients. So it's pretty much just potentially breaking down or not completely breaking down, and they're not absorbing it. And how you can tell that is how your skin looks, how your face looks, how you're feeling energetically. So if any time of year that you're going to do this, summertime is a great time to do that to help. Also, oftentimes in the winter, because there can be stagnation because the types of foods we eat at that time of year. So as we sign out, okay, I do want to correct that entero is in Texas. So I had them reversed. So I'll put that below where they are, also next to the link. So if you're in the region or passing through, you'll know to go through. I just finally saw that on the links that I have up here. So until next time, if you have any questions, if you want to look into doing a summer reboot or late summer reboot, will be coming up on in no time, to balance your elements, let me know. And until next time, this is Suzanne signing out with a full heart, a soft gaze, a deep bow, and a namaste. Be simply. Once again, I want to thank you for joining us today on this segment of Mind You in Food. If inspired, please support your local restaurants or traveling through the local restaurants or new creations. In addition, stay a little bit longer. We're going to sign out with a little Kadri Scott, her new single, Shine.